All right, so Trump just signed an executive order to create a U.S. sovereign wealth fund. What the heck even is a sovereign wealth fund? And how would a country operating in a deficit, a $34 trillion deficit, fund it? Oh, and apparently it might be used to purchase a piece of TikTok. Okay, let's dive in. All right, so let's start with what the heck is a sovereign wealth fund. We're going to keep it very simple here. Imagine you've got like extra cash laying around, and instead of keeping it in a savings account, just letting it collect dust, you use it to buy stocks, real estate, things like that. And you're going to grow that money over time. And instead of doing it on a personal level, you're doing it on like a country level. That's a sovereign wealth fund. It's where countries keep their surplus of cash. That surplus comes from like oil revenues, trade profits, other governmental income streams. It can come from external investment funds, things like that. Government then invests that money in things like stocks, real estates, tech companies, perhaps, also tech bets. Possibly investing in AI infrastructure to grow your nation's wealth over time is the idea. Some countries that already have sovereign wealth funds, and keep in mind there's about 90 sovereign wealth funds that exist throughout the globe. Norway, theirs is built on oil profits, and it's about worth $1.4 trillion. China, they invest hundreds of billions of dollars, mostly in tech, real estate, and foreign companies. Then there's Saudi Arabia, and they use their fund to diversify beyond oil. They also invest in AI entertainment and actually a bunch of US companies. Trump's executive order that he just signed. What exactly is it? What did he just do? And what does it mean for us? So he just signed an executive order essentially saying, hey, we're going to create our own sovereign wealth fund. Why is he doing it right now? Well, as you know, he's been getting a lot of investment promises, which I think he's been making deals essentially to keep tariffs off other companies. And we need a place to put it, first of all. Second of all, he needs an option in order to save TikTok, in which he's promised. And this is a good way to do it. The executive order directs the Treasury and Commerce departments to create a plan for the U.S. Sovereign Wealth Fund within 90 days. They've got 90 days to create this fund. The government-owned investments are going to strengthen the economy, reduce reliance on foreign investors, and hopefully generate money to lower taxes. But where exactly are we going to get the money to fund this, considering that we operate in a complete deficit? That's the question on everybody's mind. So other countries use extra cash, oil profits, as we already talked about, to fund these. We already talked about, we operate at a $34 trillion deficit. Where's this money coming from? Things that have been talked about, tariff revenues, although the ones between Canada and Mexico are currently on a 30-day hold, but there are other tariffs in play, specifically China. Selling or leasing federal assets, reinvesting profits from government-owned businesses, postal services, military, tech patents, and then more controversial, selling some bonds and taxes. And then we already sort of talked about TikTok, but the big deal here would be they would take cash out of this, make a deal, and then invest heavily using this fund to purchase TikTok. That would give it essentially a state-owned type situation, which goes into a lot of legalities around state-owned media. But that's a whole different conversation. But this would take away the national security concerns, because then it would give the U.S. ownership over our own data. But what happens next? Best case scenario, we actually build a profitable investment fund, and we actually reduce debt, fund infrastructure, and we do lower taxes. Worst case, it becomes a political stunt like everything else. We don't end up making anything of it. We've got no way to fund it, and we are worse off than we were before. But I hope that helps explain what a sovereign wealth fund is, because I know it's been a trending search on Google since the executive order has been announced and signed. I hope this helps. Please subscribe.